Welcome to Pera's Playbook. This is your host, Alex Pera. Let's open up our playbook and see who our guest is. Please enjoy. Welcome to episode 91 of Pera's Playbook. Today I'm joined by Sophia Heckendoerf, a softball player at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, our second pointer on the podcast, and I think our third softball player. So, Sophia, thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on. Talk softball. I like trying to get a variety of sports on. It feels like, I get the most, obviously, like the, football, basketball, hockey, but, I like to try to mix in other sports, and softball is a fun one. And I mean, the season kind of, is the World Series still going on? That's a stupid question.
No, that ended, I think, last week.
Okay, so we're around the time frame though of softball, not too far out of it, so it's a good time to talk about it. And we might as well start with kind of your recruiting and then kind of your choosing Upper Iowa and kind of how that process went for you.
Yeah, so the recruiting process was pretty long. You start when you're probably freshman, sophomore year. You can't really talk to colleges yet until like your sophomore, kind of junior year. There's like that NCAA rule. So you go to a lot of like camps and stuff. So I went to like camps at Valparaiso, Eastern Illinois. I went to an Upper Iowa camp, just a bunch of different camps to kind of see what environment you like. And so I ended up going to a camp at Upper Iowa and really liked it there. I performed well. Normally, I'm going to be honest, I was horrible at camps because I always got so nervous and there was so much pressure. And I think a lot of other people go through the same thing with that. And but Upper Iowa, it felt really good to be there. And sorry, my cat just walked out the door. But yeah, Upper Iowa, they called me back, said, "Hey, we would love to have you on a visit." So I came down another weekend with my dad and my mom. And so we took a tour of the campus. I liked it. I got to meet some of the girls, ate lunch with them, and I ended up really liking it. So my junior year is when I actually signed with them. And then, that's was my freshman year. So,
Did you play like travel
oh
softball and
yeah.
stuff like that? Do you think that's pretty standard that you have to do that if you want to play
The
college
travel,
softball?
yeah, it is. Most people get recruited from travel softball. Like that's huge. I'd say the bigger, better programs you play for, the the better chance of places that you're going to go, like bigger and better. 'Cause there's some huge programs out there that people go to, and then they end up going to like bigger Division One. So it's pretty crazy in the club world, but that's it. That's how it is. So
Yeah. Yeah. So are there any girls on either of the teams that you've played on that didn't play travel?
nope, everybody played travel. Just maybe at different levels, but everybody played travel.
Yeah. So it's pretty standard. If you want to go to
Mm-hmm.
college, you got to play travel softball for a club team.
Yeah.
So you were at Upper Iowa for your first year and you got a lot of playing time. Did you like know that
Mm-hmm.
going in that you were going to get a lot of playing time?
So the coach who actually recruited me from Upper Iowa left right before we were supposed to go. So the coach who came in, we didn't really know what to expect. So honestly, as a freshman, I was kind of prepared to like do my time, not really play a whole lot. I kind of played more as the season went on, but in the beginning it was a really big struggle. I was injured. I actually got injured in a dome game in Rosemont, Illinois, because we played in the domes. And I pulled my hamstring really bad and I was out for a little bit. And I didn't get back to playing until we took our Florida trip. So that was a couple of weeks. And then after that, I was kind of in and out of the lineup. And then I started hitting really well at the end of the season. That's kind of what kept me rolling. So that's why I started more at the end.
So you kind of like you did kind of like buy your time and work your way
Hmm.
up just throughout the season.
Yeah.
So what went into like the decision to hop in the transfer portal for you?
Honestly, Upper Iowa wasn't the best fit for me. The coach who recruited me left. And so with a different coach coming in, it just didn't really fit my style. And Upper Iowa is an interesting place because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. And I didn't really like that much. So didn't really feel like the right fit for me. So that's why I decided to leave.
Did you have like schools in mind when you entered the portal, or were you kind of just like,
Yeah,
let's
Point was one of them, and then Concordia, Wisconsin was the other one because I do have connections. I had connections to Point and Concordia, Wisconsin because I played with people who either are were gonna go there or play there currently. So I was kind of talking with them like, hey, how do you like it there? Do you think I'd be a good fit? So I was pretty much only talking to Point and Concordia when I entered the transfer portal. But I did have other people reach out as well, but I was pretty much narrowed down to the two already.
and was it a hard decision between the two?
Honestly, it was. I Concordia is really close to where I'm from, so it that would have been really nice, but honestly, it took me a while to decide, like a couple weeks, and after visits and meeting with everybody, I just felt that Point was the better place for me, and it really felt like a good home, and it's been a great decision so far.
Is Point like a lot farther from where you're from?
It's like 2 hours, so it's not
Oh,
bad.
yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
not too
closer than
bad.
Iowa, so
Yeah, yeah. If you want to go home, you can, but if you don't, you're far
Mhm.
enough away where you're on your
Yep.
own.
No, it's a good distance, a good medium distance.
Yeah. Well, you guys had a decent year your first year you're there, but kind of want to jump to this past season. You guys
Mhm.
had a really good season, 32-9, undefeated at home, and a NCAA tournament appearance. So I mean, almost everything you can ask for in a
Mhm.
season you guys had happen. Did you know kind of like ahead of time before the season that you guys had a pretty good group that you thought could do something?
It's always a little interesting with like the new freshmen coming in. I thought a couple of them had a really big impact on our team and like with pitching and stuff like that too. We weren't really sure. Like we had seen them like when they come to our camps as recruits and stuff because we're working those as players. But sometimes you're not going to remember them all. But then when you come in the fall and we all have like our first practices, you kind of get to see a little bit like, hey, we're going to be pretty decent this year. That things will be pretty interesting. And then Division 3, you can play like 1 day of fall ball games. It's a really weird rule. So like we played really well there, and we are kind of like, okay, we're seeming like we're doing better than last year with teams. And then you kind of we came out the first weekend and swept the whole thing down in, I think we were in Peoria the first weekend this year, and we did really well. We beat Loris, who was ranked at the time. We were like, okay, we can do this. And it kind of just kept going, like, we know we're good and just kind of keep rolling with that. So, not really at the beginning, we knew what was going to happen, but kind of as the season went on, we were like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you guys started to build momentum and then it just kind of
Hmm.
went from there.
Yeah.
So
I
talk
think
about,
people
oh,
settled
go
in.
ahead.
Sorry, I cut you
No,
off.
no, no, go ahead.
No, I think people settled in, freshmen who are playing more, they start to settle in. They're a little antsy at first, but then they settled
Yeah.
in and did a nice job. So,
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, talk about that success at home. Like that's obviously
hmm.
everyone kind of says you play better at home, but
Oh yeah.
that doesn't mean you're gonna be undefeated at home. Like that's
hmm.
impressive stat.
Honestly, I think our grit this year was just it was better than it has been. Like we knew like, hey, we can do this and any obstacle, like we're gonna do it. Like we've come back from deficits before. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna hit our way out of this. We're gonna play really solid defense. And I just think we really did that at home too, because like it's our field, we know how it plays, and people say home field advantage, which I do think believe it is a factor because like you're at home, you don't have to take a 3 hour bus ride to get there. It's just like you walk to the field and you're ready to go. It's your music, like
Yeah.
it's what gets you hyped.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even if if there's not it's like the mental part. Like I guess that's the
hmm.
biggest thing, just knowing, yeah, that's your place. We practice here every day, like
Hmm.
just kind of using that to your advantage. I mean, like you said, not riding on a bus like that also helps because you don't have bus legs and all that, having to
Yeah.
travel and deal with missing more school and whatnot. So there's definitely a lot of advantages.
Oh yeah.
So NCAA tournament, like when you guys got there, I mean, do you feel like the kind of the level that people were playing at went up a notch? Like it was noticeable, like, okay, this is different. This is a little more serious. It's a little more intense.
Yeah, the intensity level was definitely cranked up from what you're used to. Like nobody's gonna back down. Nobody's really gonna give up. Like competition level, we were in the Trine regional, so obviously Trine, the returning national champions, like you're like, okay, we could have a chance to play them, but we went to an out right away, so we didn't get the chance to play them. But it would have been really interesting to see how we would have matched up to like, the previous reigning national champions, excuse me. And I just think that we kind of fizzled out at the end. I'm not going to beat around the bush about that. Like we did not hit well. And I think that if we would have hit and outscored, obviously we would have done a lot better, but we kind of just fizzled out at the end, which is kind of disappointing, but that gives us a good goal for next year.
Right. Now you kind of know, like, all the freshmen that came in, you said made a big
Mm-hmm.
impact. They have all this new experience. They're going to grow over the summer, and you'll bring in more new freshmen that hopefully can
Yep.
make a big impact. So I'm assuming your guys' goal next year is to make it deeper into the
Yep.
NCAA tournament.
Yeah, we want to get to regionals and not just be there, but we want to win and then get to supers and then eventually World Series.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And now you got a little taste of that postseason, so you
Mm-hmm.
want more of it, obviously.
Oh yeah. Like we were all like super excited to be there and like you train on site the day before you play and it's just kind of like people are like catering to you and you're like, "Oh, this is really weird. This is like never happened before." And they're like, "Oh, you have post-game interviews and stuff." And we're like, "Oh, we've never had anything like that before." And we're all just kind of like, "Oh, okay, this is like bigger than what we've ever been a part of." So,
Yeah. Kind of cool though. Kind of fun to be a part
hmm
of, good memories and everything.
oh yeah.
So speaking of memories, do you have like a best softball memory, just like looking back at your whole playing career? I mean, it doesn't have to be college, it could be pre-college.
I have a lot, but I would say when we were watching the selection show this past year, like just this past season, it was so cool. We weren't expecting to like hear our name called that early, so it's kind of a shock to us. Like we kind of knew that we were in and stuff, but just hear us like go that early and hear where we're gonna play, it was really awesome. And to be surrounded by my teammates and my friends, it was just so cool because everybody shared the same excitement.
Yeah. Did the room erupt in excitement?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that was pretty fun.
Because
So
that's the
what's
first
your
time we've been. Oops, sorry.
no no worries.
No, that's like the first time we've been to the NCAA tournament in like over 10 years. So it was like really cool to be a part of that. So,
Yeah. No, that means a lot for the school, the program, like to get there and to know that you can get back and like kind of
mhm.
see where you compete with other teams and now you have like something to really build off of for next season. So what's your favorite thing about like playing softball? Like what do you like about it? I mean, obviously it's the sport you've chosen. Everybody in college that's their sport because everyone plays all kinds of sports growing up, and if you're good at a bunch of them, you can't play all of them, so you kind of narrow it
Mhm.
down. But so like what's your favorite? What's kept you playing softball forever?
Honestly, I just love how competitive it is. Like it's very like weirdly competitive because you're a part of a team, but it's a lot of like individuals competing within like it's you against the pitcher when you're hitting and stuff like that. I always thought that was like really interesting. It's very personal, like personal while being like a part of a team because like you have your individual part, but you still have to play like as a team. And I always thought that was kind of cool and different from other teams, like other sports and like other things. I don't know. It's fun to hit. I really love hitting, and it's kind of just what I've been decent at my whole life and kind of the only thing that stuck. I played other sports, but I didn't love them as much as softball. And honestly, I love all my teammates, and it's just so cool to meet different people. Like when you're growing up like through club and you play for different club teams, you get to meet so many different people and people that aren't from your area, and you reach out and talk with them and whenever, and they're just always there for you. And I just think that's so cool.
Yeah. I like that kind of the way you looked at it about like it's an individual and a team sport. Like when you're batting, I mean it's all you. I mean with basketball, if you're a really good player but you're on a bad team, it might be hard to have good stats because your team can't get you the ball.
Hmm
They can't pass the ball to you. But when you're up batting, I mean that's all you, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just you. It doesn't really matter what your team's doing at that point. So yeah, that's a cool way to look at it. It's kind of like track in a way, like
Oh yeah.
when you're in your race, it's your control, but then like it builds up to a team result.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a cool way to look at like softball and baseball and how they are. I like that. So you're a graphic design major. What do you want to
Yes.
do with that? Like what's the career path for the future?
Yeah, so after I'm done with softball in school, I still want to be around sports. So I was thinking maybe working for like a professional team and do like their media and stuff like that, do their graphic design for their posts and stuff like that, just like media and stuff. Also, I do enjoy like photography and graphic design go well together and videography. So like using those skills to like create Instagram, like Snapchat, and like just anything X post. Like I always dreamed like that would be so cool to be able to do, like work with the team and do their media.
Yeah. No, that would be a fun job. I'm sure it'd be kind of hectic at different
Hmm.
times, but it would be fun to be a part of the team and to get to kind of have the creative mind for the team. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
You also do some volunteer coaching, I saw in your bio. Is that something that you want to like keep doing? Is coaching softball?
So this summer, I'm actually not doing the coaching because I have an internship for a graphic design job. But I would like to keep coaching in the future. Maybe if it's like my kids down the road, I would like, it was just good to have the experience because it also helps you as a player
Yeah.
because like you have to tell a player something and it's kind of like, oh, how would I tell myself this to make it? And then you also pick up on things like, okay, this can help my game. So I think it was really cool to be a player and also a coach because it's really cool to explain things to kids and then you see the light bulb kind of go on and they finally understand. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. There's something really rewarding about that. Like when you help somebody understand something and then you, like you said, you see it click, then you feel that you feel good inside about helping them get something that they couldn't achieve before you gave them whatever advice.
Hmm.
So in a non-sports sense, I mean, I guess it's kind of related to sports because music pumps people up and
Oh,
everyone's got
yeah.
their like go-to music. But like, what kind of music do you like?
Okay, I know a lot of people say this, but I'm all over the board. It's kind of just what I'm feeling that day. I'll be anywhere from like rock to rap to, more pop to house music. I don't know. It's kind of like what I'm feeling that day and what I'm doing and stuff. Like if it's just a nice car ride, like in summer, I'll put on like a nice, like lighter playlist, like summery kind of pop. But if I'm working out, it's more rock and like rap.
What are your
So I'm kind
favorite
of
artists or
Oh boy. I'm big into like older rock. I don't want to say like old, but I love like Journey and Foreigner and all them. I would say for rap, I am just kind of like whatever. I don't know. I'm all over the board. I'll listen to pretty much anyone. I don't know. If you look at through my Spotify, it's a wide range of things and it's crazy.
well, that's the way to do it though.
Oh
It's
yeah.
more fun than the people who are I only like country and I won't listen to anything but
Yeah.
country. That's kind of boring. Doesn't that get
Yeah,
old? I
no,
feel
you gotta add
like
a little variety.
yeah, exactly. Like I'll go in patterns where I'll only listen to rock for like 2 weeks, but then I'll only listen to
Hmm.
country for 2 weeks, and then
Yeah.
it'll be rap, and then like so like I'm all over the board, but it kind of just goes in phases.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
do
the
the
time
same
of
thing.
year, but yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like I feel like if I was gonna listen to country, it would be in the summer. Like I'm not gonna listen to
Hmm.
country in the middle of winter. Like I don't know, it
When
just
it's
doesn't vibe
cold
for
and
me. Yeah,
sad.
right. Yeah, they're singing about drinking beer in the sun by the lake or
Yeah.
whatever like
It's
that. Yeah.
snowing outside right now.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I like variety of music. Plus, what do they say? Variety is the spice of life or whatever,
There you go.
you gotta have a variety. What about hobbies? What do you like to do for fun other than softball?
Well, that takes up most of my time. Even during the summer, I'm still hitting and stuff. I like to read a lot. I do play video games. Like, it's kind of embarrassing, but I love my Nintendo Switch. I'll be playing Animal Crossing, like Mario Kart. It's fun to play with like other people and play multiplayer. I do like photography and like videography. I do want to get a little bit more into that, but I just have to reach out to some people and be like, "Hey, can I come to your game and like do your photos and stuff?" Like I like doing stuff like that. But that's I don't really do much else besides softball in school.
Yeah. Nintendo Switch, I just got one, I
Oh,
don't know, sometime within the last year. I'm big at like I like to play like Switch sports, like golf or
yeah.
bowl or whatever. But Mario Kart, I mean, that's
Oh,
obviously a
it's a classic.
classic. It is.
It's
I
great.
I had a Wii growing up and I sold my Wii and all my
Oh
Wii
no.
games when I got an Xbox because I wanted to buy
What?
Xbox games. And then I regretted it like a few years later. I
Yeah.
was like, man,
No, we
I
still
miss
have our
playing.
Wii.
Yeah.
I
There's
need to
some of the
plug it in.
classics.
There's some
Like
great games on that.
there are. I can't even remember like what the names of some of them are, but I just remember like there was some like Pac-Man racing game that I used to love. It was this weird
Yeah.
like I don't even know what it was, but I played a ton of it. And um I can't remember what it was. It not Wii Sports. It was another one of those ones. It had like all kinds of little games in it that you could play.
Oh,
We Play, or was that what it
Wii
was called?
Party?
I can't remember what it was, but there I mean
Oh,
there were so many of those. That's
oh, those are
childhood right
great.
there.
Yeah, my sisters and I have two older sisters, so we used to always play. We have like all the Just Dances. We'd play those for hours, and that was still a good time when we plug in the Wii.
Yeah. Yeah, I regret getting rid of mine. The Switch is nice, but it's not the Wii.
It's not the Wii.
Like the graphics are so much crisper. I feel like
It's crazy. Like I'm playing
it,
Mario Kart and it's a map from the Wii, and I'm like, wow, this looked terrible
yeah.
compared to like on my Switch. It looks great now.
But I remember being a kid and thinking it was awesome. Like it
Oh
was
yeah,
the
because you didn't know
greatest.
any better.
Yeah. I actually took out my DS the other day and
Oh my gosh, I still have
was
mine.
I was like, it turned on. I hadn't charged it in a long time. It turned right on and I started playing it. And I was like, man, I spent some hours on this thing.
They're solid. The battery used to last forever.
Yeah, yeah, I know those things are solid because I got the original DS and I never upgraded. I know a lot of people
Oh
ended up
really?
getting like the 3DSs and all that over time. No, I had just the original DS and it's still have it. It's so much smaller than the other ones too.
It is. Yeah, I got my cousin actually gave me like his DS, and then a couple years later when I actually saved up the money when I was like 10, I got a 3DS and I was like, wow, this is the greatest day ever.
Yeah, I was always kind of jealous of the people that had 3DSs, but whatever. My DS, it worked. It was good enough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the 3DSs had it, but I liked that the original DS you could play Game Boy games on it.
Oh
Is that
yeah,
like
that was pretty cool.
you could find them for like 50 cents at like St. Vinny's
Mm-hmm.
or so, like Goodwill or like some thrift store or something, and 50 cents and you got this like random Game Boy game. So
Yeah.
that was always kind of sweet. You said that I got to ask this before we go because you said your cat walked out. Did you just have
Oh
one
yeah.
cat?
I have two cats actually. She walked back in, but she's laying on the bed.
What's her
I have
name?
that's Gypsy. Do you want to see her?
Sure. I love
There, I'll bring
cats.
her on.
I'm a big cat person.
Oh, okay. She's not very happy with me. This is Gypsy. She's
Gypsy's on
not
the
very happy yet.
podcast. She should be happy. She's on the pod.
No, I woke her up. She's not happy.
Yeah, my fiance's got three cats, and yeah, when you wake them up, they get a little cranky.
That's not great.
No, or they just seem out of it. Like they're kind of like,
Yeah, no. Oh,
what are you doing? What's going
yeah.
on?
No, she's leaving now.
Yeah. Well, now she had her 3 seconds
She had her moment.
of fame. I mean, not that there's any fame in this, The five
Oh,
people
there
watch
is.
the five people watching this will be happy to see her.
Uh, I'm sure you're doing great work from what I've seen. I've watched and listened to a couple podcasts, and it's really cool. And I think what
Oh,
you're doing
thank
is
you.
awesome. And like for somebody like me who's like a Division 3 athlete, we don't really ever get this opportunity. And I think that's really cool that you're highlighting athletes like me and other people. And I just think it's really cool.
Yeah, I love getting D3 athletes on. I don't know. I feel like everyone's got a unique story, and I think people have the wrong viewpoint when it comes to Division 3 athletics. Like people look down on D3 athletics, that it's not really that impressive. But when you really look at what people are doing at the D3 level, I mean, I feel like a lot of these people could play higher up if they wanted, but they're staying for, because the degree they want, or it's closer to home, or whatever reason. So there's a lot of people doing a lot of great things. And I don't know, everyone's got a unique story. It doesn't matter what level you're playing at. So I think it's
Oh
great.
yeah, for sure. I know I've played against people. I'm like, why aren't you playing like higher Division 1? Like you're really good. And I've had some teammates. I was like, you definitely could have played at a higher level. And I was like, why didn't you? And then they said the same thing you just said. It's like I want to focus more on my academics. Like I want to have like a job when I'm done playing because I can't play my sport forever.
Right. Exactly. And I feel like that's the smarter option. Like I'm not trying to shade anyone who wants to play D1 just because then they're a D1 athlete. But if they don't have your degree program and you're not happy and you're only
Hmm.
there to say you're a D1 athlete, then like you're not setting yourself up for the future. I mean, it's great that you're playing your sport at that school, but I feel like personally, I'd rather play a lot at a D3 school, get my degree, have a great time, and then go on and get a good job after.
Yeah, that's exactly why I went D3. That's kind of you hit it right on the nail right on the head there.
Yeah, and you got a lot of great experiences. I mean, you still
Oh
made
yeah.
the D3 NCAA tournament, and you guys want more after this next year. I mean, it's good softball. Obviously, you know that playing against, like you said, people that you question why they're there, and you know everyone's got their reason, but it's good competition. And I feel like I hope somebody's listening to this, and maybe we change their mind that D3 athletics aren't something to look down on. It's people have that kind of, well, I mean, people have a lot of the wrong idea. They think that professional athletes have the easiest lives ever, and like people have the wrong idea about a lot of sports. So I feel like it's good to put the real stories out there.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that like even though you're Division 3, we're still coming into practice every day. We're lifting 3 to 4 days a week. We're conditioning. We're still putting in the same amount of effort as Division 2 and 1 athletes are. It's just not as a more talked about scale. And I just
Right.
think we do put in a lot of work. Like I went from Division 2 to Division 3. I worked really hard Division 2, and you still really work really hard at Division 3. Like there's just not really that big of a gap when you think about it.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to athletes. Doesn't matter what level they're at. People don't have the right idea. Like, and the other thing is, I mean, I was talking to somebody about like D3 athletes because you're not allowed to, like, the scholarship and all that. Like people, you're paying to play. You're
Mm-hmm.
paying to go to school and play and work hard. When you look at Division 1 athletes and they're getting all this NIL money, and now the Power 5 schools are going to have salaries and all that. Like, it really shows the commitment of the D3 athletes to that sport. That sport really means that much to somebody, where they're going to pay and they're going to put the work in, knowing that they're not getting any of that extra glory.
Oh yeah. We do have some people who have NIL deals, but they're very small and like you're not making
Right.
millions like the big Division 1 players are. And you don't really have those big opportunities as a D3 athlete because everybody kind of just looks at you like, you're
Yeah.
not bringing in TV time or anything like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I know some people have like some small, maybe brand deals. They do some stuff on their Instagram, their social media, and get a little bit of NIL money, but yeah, it doesn't really compare at all. It may be a little extra
no,
spending money in your pocket, and it's about it. Not not the life-changing multi-millions of dollars that
no,
various Division 1 athletes are getting. But it's more pure, I think, the Division 3. Like, it's for the love of the game, and it's more like people are going to play for their school, they're going to play for their team. I feel like at the D1 level it's going to start to change with all this money, that people are just playing for the money. There's not going to be that pride for your sport and your school.
yeah, I think with all this going forward, it's going to be a lot more. This kind of sounds bad, but selfishness
Yeah.
kind of at the Division 1 level. And D3, we're all there to like play for each other and stuff. We're not getting all this fame and glory, so might as well do what we love and just play for each other and do as best as we can.
Yeah. So if somebody loves a sport and you want to just like watch a good softball game or a good football game, find the closest D3 college to where you're at and go there. And it's just going to be that pure sport and it'll be a good time. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, definitely in like the Wyatt conference too. Everybody's crazy competitive and like we're all pretty decent. Like even like the bottom of our conference goes and plays non-conference teams and they do pretty well against them. So it's a pretty competitive conference in pretty much any sport and you're gonna get a good game no matter what.
Yeah. No, it's a really good conference, top to bottom. I mean, all of the games are competitive. Looking at different sports, I know interviewing some different hockey players. Actually, it was one of the Stevens Point hockey players, and
Hmm.
we were talking about playing Northland, which was I think the worst team in the conference. But Stevens Point, being one of the better teams, only beat them by a goal one of the nights. So I mean, it doesn't matter. You're playing the worst team, but still was a nail biter of a game. So definitely is a good conference, and it's like that across D3. There's a lot of, I bet the top D3 teams could beat various D2 and D1 teams. Like if you take some lower D1 teams and have them play the national champions, it'd be competitive. Definitely would
I
be.
think, yeah, it would definitely
They
be
could beat
really
them.
interesting to see how that talent matches up and just because people chose to go D3 when they had offers from other places. But I know a lot of people who have had that. They're like, oh, I had offers from this school, but I chose this smaller D3 because it was closer to home and more affordable for me. And I just know a lot of people who have done that. So I think it would be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they could do some sort of like exhibition games with like
Hmm.
some of the various NCAA tournament teams from like Division 3 and having them compete against higher higher level schools and just kind of see how it matches up. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, I know that maybe I don't remember if it was last year or the year before UW Oshkosh's softball team. They played Madison, like Wisconsin, and they didn't lose by that much. I don't know. I don't really remember, but I remember
Yeah.
seeing in fall ball that they ended up playing them and it was interesting.
Yeah,
So,
that's kind of neat. I know Michigan Tech each year their men's and women's basketball team will play like UW Green Bay, which is a little bit smaller D1 school, but
mhm.
they still usually keep it within like 10 points whether
Yeah.
they win or lose. So, I mean, definitely that they can compete.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely good stuff. So if anyone out there thinks D3 athletics aren't very good, then they don't really know what they're talking about. Well, Sophia, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I know we had talked about it a long time ago and then kind of lost track of it, but we
Yeah.
got it done now. So I appreciate you coming on.
It was a crazy time. It was right around season, so that's a really tough time for the both of us. I know you were really busy and I was busy like every night. So I'm happy I finally was able to come on and thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes soon.